Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiret. Ashtaprayasha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. Om Gnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Prabhuji, I have a question based on what we discussed yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question on Seva Aparad.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, for a Grahastha, I think just taking my case, I feel that it is manageable sometimes to not have Namaprad and Vaishnavaprad and Jivaprad. But Seva Prad is very difficult to avoid. The reason is that we have some daily duties for, let's say, DT worship at home if we have altar, right? Then we might have some evening arti and then kirtan or something. And sometimes what happens due to busy schedule in office, sometimes you get up late, so you get up late because you spent late night, and then you have to take chanting time also. And sometimes all offices, they have sometimes early meetings if you are having an American client. So either they have connect in the evening, late evening, or early morning. So sometimes it is not practical to continue with the sevas which we have, right? And it will be difficult for, let's say, wife also or a spouse, right? Because they also have some other responsibilities. So just wanted to take your view that can we do prarthana, can we do uh, pray to the Lord that please forgive us that today we could not basically do the seva uh, due to these things, or will that be considered as aparadh? Because I think seva aparadh is something which is unavoidable for some grahasthas.
Okay, you can read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So there's a chapter, I think 9, 8 or 9. 1 second. 8, I think. Yeah, 8. You can read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, chapter 8. But most of the Seva Aparas that are being mentioned is directly with connection with the deity worship. So there is, see, not, it's like the how much or what type of worship you do at home is left to you, meaning there is no enforcement on that. Suppose say some people can do Mangalarti, they'll do Mangalarti. Some people can do Darshanarti directly, they'll do Darshanarti. That is not mm, that's not so much of a Seva Aparad. It depends on what your commitment is, meaning you as Grihasthas we have to give some commitment towards all this and stick to it. And if sometimes some things are not possible, like you have to do Darshanarti at 7, you did at 7:30, we can beg for forgiveness. It is understandable, but when you're doing, you should do it properly. You should not do mistakes whenever it is done. But which is why home worship is not considered very, I mean, not given, and which is one of the reasons why we also discourage devotees from having deities at home, because the worship will can be really erratic, and that can result in photo worship. Actually, rules aren't so stringent, so it's okay. You can do it as per convenience. I mean, simple thing. For example, Mataji is at home when they are an unclean period. They will be in the house. What can we do? Right. So these things are understandable, and so those standards are not high. And even actually, photo worship as such, there aren't many. I mean, home worship specifically. At least standard scriptures are not giving. Maybe from Hari Bhakti Vilas, etc. Some devotees might have made some rules, etc., for home worship, but it's not very stringent. And that's also the reason is for us, we are more Bhagavata Vidhi. So focus more on Shravanam Kirtanam. This is Seva Aparad will not hamper our progress. Seva Aparad, when we do in connection with the proper worship which is happening in a temple, etc., right, where there are rules being followed and we go break the rules or we don't follow the rules, that is what will affect us more than this. And like we said, Seva Prad itself is not detrimental because Seva Prad will just get eliminated with Nama Prad, with good chanting, provided we don't do something intentionally. The mistakes that are done during Seva should not be intentional. It can be by chance or it can be because of practical challenges. Uh, so, but yeah, home worship is not, unless you have deities, home worship is not taken much. I mean, it's not very serious business.
Hmm. And also sometimes, if we have some seva, for example, giving classes of Bhagavad Gita, right? And sometimes you have time, so you will have more enthusiasm in preparing and doing that. But then if we get busy due to some other grasta sevas or office work or something, uh, then sometimes there is a lack of enthusiasm because your attention got distributed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that also seva prad?
No, I mean, see, practicality is something that Agrasta has to consider, right? I mean, you can't become impractical about life. Sincerity is required, right? And that's the main thing. Right? As long as we are sincere in trying to do whatever best we are able, we can do. If somebody is like just lazy, sleeping for 2 hours and wakes up 10 minutes before the class and is not preparing, then he is not sincere. Now, this is not classified as so much as Seva Aparad. Seva Aparad is more, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu talks more in terms of deity worship, Pancharatrika Vidhi only, and temple.
Hmm.
This is all insincerity. There's no love for Krishna. It just shows that we have like very low bhakti. That's all. Not so much of an offense. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Clear.
Okay. Anybody else has any other questions, or should I continue? Okay. So I'm just reading, continuing from Harinama Chintamani. Overcoming Nama Bhasa. A person at the stage of real Nama Bhasa, so we discussed this, which is called Chaya Nama Bhasa. He does not accept the Mayavadi philosophy, nor is his heart contaminated or weakened by different speculative theories. Though the person at Namabhasa stage does not know the full glory of the holy name, realization will come, for the very nature of the name is that it gives realization of itself. Though the full glory of the sun is not visible when covered by clouds, the sun gradually dissolves the clouds and finally shines in full glory. In this very way, a person who chants the holy name in Chaya Namabhasa is able to eliminate very quickly all the clouds of anarthas and ignorance, especially by the powerful influence of spiritual masters. So we discussed this. One has to surrender to the Guru and serve very nicely. Then, having attained Shuddhanama, he can easily achieve Krishna Prema. Shuddhanama simply means no anarthas, no ignorance. That's all. No impurity is Shuddhanama. One who chants in Namabhasa should carefully avoid the company and influence of Mayavadis and should serve and satisfy devotees who chant the pure name, which is Guru and other seniors exalted Vaishnavas. Whoever accepts this instruction is a fortunate soul, and whoever rejects it is an unfortunate wretch who cannot be delivered for 100 million births. Haridasa, concluding his explanation of Namabhasa, prayed, "Rescue me from all bad association, keep me at your lotus feet. I do not see any alternative to your lotus feet." One who takes shelter at the feet of Haridas will incessantly chant the holy name and find the real satisfaction of life. So, if you are having trouble with chanting, then we should take shelter of Srila Haridas Thakur and chant in Chayanama. Bas, don't get influenced by Mayavad and other speculative theories. That's most of it. Now, at least we will just glance over these aparadas again, which is important. Okay. The first nama aparad, blasphemy of Vaishnava. Tatam ninda namna paramam aparadam vitanute yatakyatim yatam katham u sahate tad vigarham. Criticism or harmful intent, ninda, harmful. Uh, Harmful meaning you want to bring some harm to the devotee, or even criticizing with no real requirement, or just out of envy, like that, is considered a serious offense to the holy name. How can the Lord tolerate criticism of those who spread the glories of the name? Harida, under your inspiration, I'll say whatever you make me say. Offenses of the holy name, which should always be held in great fear, are analyzed as 10 according to the scriptures. So we should always be held in great fear. They are as follows: blasphemy or criticism of Vaishnava, considering that other living entities such as Devatas are independent of Krishna, disrespecting the spiritual master, disrespecting scriptural authority, interpreting the meaning of the name and thinking that the glories of the name are imaginary, committing sinful activity in the strength of the holy name, giving the holy name to unfaithful who are not ready to accept. Slightly different here. Comparing the holy name to karma or material phase activity, inattention while chanting, and remaining without attraction to the holy name, even though one knows the greatness of the name, due to attachment to the material identity. So, little different from what Srila Prabhupada gave us. So, this 5 is actually 5 and 6 for us. Interpreting the name and thinking the glories are imaginary are 2 points. And inattention is part of 10. But remaining without attraction. So, 10 is without attraction to the holy name, even though one knows the greatness of the name. Due to attachment to material identity of me and mine. Okay. It's okay. I mean, acharyas have their own different perspectives, which is all okay, but all the points are covered any which way. The first offense, known as sadhu ninda or criticism of Vaishnava, is extremely destructive for those who desire progress in spiritual life. Symptoms of a sadhu. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna speaking to Uddhava enumerates the characteristics of a devotee. Dayalu, merciful, Sahishnu, tolerant, Sama, equal-minded, Droha, Shunya, Vrata, performing penance without injury to body, Satyasara, truthful, pure, engaged in helping all humanity, not by some social work, by actually giving spiritual knowledge, having intelligence free from lust, controlling the senses, devoid of ownership, mild, clean, regulated in eating and other habits, peaceful, disinterested in material affairs, patient, steady, surrendered exclusively to Krishna, not negligent of his duties, very grave, conquering over the 6 gunas, not demanding honor from others, respecting other living entities, skillful, without cheating propensity or hypocrisy, knowledge of scripture. Yeah, so 26 qualities of Vaishnava, which are given in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. One can know who is a sadhu or devotee by the presence of these symptoms. However, here there are 2 types of characteristics, principal and marginal. The principal characteristic is exclusive surrender to Krishna, and all other characteristics are considered dependent upon that symptom. By good fortune, if one gets the association of a Vaishnava, one may become attracted to the name, take up chanting the name, and take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. This becomes the chief characteristic, and by continuing to chant the name, all the other characteristics make their appearance. Therefore, they are called marginal or accompanying. Though secondary to the principal characteristic, they will certainly appear in the body of a true Vaishnava as an effect of proper chanting of the holy name. So, the important principal characteristic is exclusive surrender, meaning somebody might have exclusively surrendered but have not reached some sufficient maturity, so that we might not see all these qualities in that Vaishnava. But if that Vaishnava is exclusively surrendered to Krishna, then he cannot be criticized. The positions of Grihastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, social class of Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana, and their respective habits and qualities are external distinctions, which in no way determine who is a devotee. The chief characteristic is his complete surrender to Krishna. So it depends. Now, it again, some people have this misunderstanding saying that, okay, brahmacharis and sannyasis only have to be respected. Only they can be in this position. Grihasthas cannot be. No, there's no dependence on varna or ashrama. It is just one devotee's complete surrender to Krishna. If a devotee is exclusively surrendered to Krishna, he is a Vaishnava. And he has to be, he should not be blasphemed. Conduct of Grihastha Vaishnava. So Raghunath Das Goswami example is given. Right, so married man should regard his household with detachment and fix his mind steadily on service to Krishna. We should see whatever we have is all for the service of the Lord. So don't see anything, don't get attached to anything. Just see everything with detachment and fix mind steadily on service to Krishna. He should not be enamored by sense gratification. Oh, this is so nice. Wow, this place is so nice. Oh, this product is so nice. Mm, all this is not Vaishnava behavior. By behaving in this manner, the householder can gradually cross the ocean of material existence. See, again, we've discussed this before. How should we deal with people in the house also? As just treat them as devotees, just like we treat devotees. We treat the people at home also as devotees. I mean, assuming they are all devotees, right? And if they are not devotees, just like we preach to non-devotees outside, we preach to devotees at home. And how do we preach to non-devotees? We preach to non-devotees at home. How do we preach to non-devotees outside? We first try to make a good relationship, and in a way that they develop faith in our words, in our relationship, and slowly, steadily, based on their readiness to accept, we will slowly, steadily introduce them to Krishna consciousness. So similar, I mean, it's the same compassion we need to have towards people in the house who are non-devotees, and those who are devotees, we should treat them similar to the way we deal with devotees outside. This is a temple. Our house then becomes a temple, and obviously then there's no detachment, there's no attachment to material things, and the devotees are all in the house. They fix their mind steadily on service to Krishna. The whole focus is service to Krishna, not other things. Other things are just required, so they are being done. That's all. Such householders can cross the ocean of material existence. There is no doubt. Instead of acting as a false sannyasi who enjoys material life while wearing the cloth of a sannyasi, one should take those things necessary for survival in material world and at the same time cultivate detachment. So, meaning instead of being a false pretender, one can be a grasta and just take how much ever is required. One should always be internally fixed on Krishna. That is important. Though acting externally according to one's social custom. Quickly, Krishna delivers such Grihastha Vaishnavas, right? Okay. Okay, this is fine. Traces of sin in the devotee. And even if there appears some bad element or fault in a person, if he has the chief characteristic surrender to Krishna, he must be considered a devotee and should be respected and served by all. This is Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a profound conclusion here, which you have revealed to me. It is said that when a person has developed a taste for chanting the pure name, his chanting of just one name of the Lord is sufficient to destroy the influence of sins. Slightly different wordings. When a person has developed taste for chanting the pure name, he has a taste, and his chanting of just one name is sufficient to destroy the influence of all sins. Sin cannot remain in a person who has developed a taste. Though some remnants of those sins may still be evident in a person, they will eventually vanish by the influence of the holy name. Since the traces of sin will quickly vanish, the person must be still regarded as the most righteous person. Now, this is for a person who is sincere, who is trying sincerely to develop a taste and who has developed taste. Now, the second paragraph. Of course, if the materialist sees those traces of sin in a Vaishnava devotee or takes into account his previous sinful actions, he may consider that a person on the same level as a materialistic sinner, and consequently, he may criticize or find fault with the sadhu. That is called sadhu ninda. So we should not look at devotees materially. Basically, that's what it is. Because of his namaprada of criticizing a Vaishnava, he must directly suffer the anger of Krishna. So here, so even if there are traces of sin in a Vaishnava, we should, if he is surrendered to Krishna, then we should not blaspheme, criticize, or find fault with that sadhu. Mm. Mm. Yeah, so basic characteristic is surrender to Krishna. That's what we have to know. If somebody is surrendered to Krishna, we should not uh, find faults in them. We should not comment about them. Um, right, and that is why role of a guru is very difficult, because he has to correct other Vaishnavas who are also sincerely trying to practice. And so he feels that it's actually going against the Vaishnava philosophy of amanina manadena. Sometimes we might have to say that somebody is wrong, but it should still be done out of respect only, considering that it's just a service. Another, there's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who has also written one paper on Vaishnava Ninda. We just summary of that is that unless there is some constructive reason, for example, somebody is doing something wrong and it will affect their bhakti only, or if somebody is doing something wrong which is going to affect ISKCON as a institution, then we might have to speak to that devotee or bring it up to notice of the authorities with just completely constructive thought process. There's no intention to blaspheme anybody. It's just to help out either the devotee directly or make sure that it doesn't hamper the institution, right? But not just to defame somebody or pull him down or simply some in trivial fault finding business. All those are definitely uh, Vaishnava Prad, Vaishnava Ninda. Hmm. So a person who humbly takes shelter of Krishna, humbly sings Krishna's name, thinks himself to be the lowest rascal, is the real sadhu. So knowing himself to be lower than blade of grass, considering himself like a tree of tolerance, not expecting honor from himself, for himself, and giving honor to all, he chants the name. So such a person is a real sadhu. Spiritual influence of the sadhu. Krishna's spiritual energy of bhakti, composed of Hladini and Samvit Shaktis, reside in the pure Vaishnava devotee. For this reason, by contacting a Vaishnava, one can receive Krishna bhakti. And for this reason also, the food remnants, foot water, and foot dust of the pure Vaishnava are powerful means to nurture devotion. If one stays near a pure Vaishnava for some time, one can receive the bhakti energy flowing from his body. If one can bind that energy in one's heart after having developed strong faith, bhakti will develop and one's body will begin to tremble in ecstasy. So, just being in contact with such a pure Vaishnava itself is good enough for us. Mm. And of course, such a pure devotee's food remnants, which is the foot water, and food dust, are powerful means to nurture devotion. Meaning, we should take their food remnants, we should take their foot water, we should wash their feet, take their foot water, and also their foot dust. Hmm. And if one stays near a pure Vaishnava for some time, one can receive the bhakti energy. So the bhakti energy which is flowing in their body, it will flow to us. Living in proximity to a Vaishnava, one will soon develop bhakti in one's heart. One will begin chanting the holy name, and then by the influence of the name, one will receive all good qualities. So there is influence, there is power, spiritual Shakti in the sadhu who has dedicated his life to Krishna, and that can be experienced. I mean, all these things require some discrimination, etc. But it's safe just not criticize. So those people, those devotees who are not in any responsible leadership positions in ISKCON are saved in one way, because they can just just bother about themselves and do bhakti. Of course, everybody has a responsibility towards ISKCON, so that way nobody can escape this responsibility of making sure that some wrong things don't happen. Because that's also not correct. If some wrong things are happening, and we are thinking, oh, if I say something to this devotee, then it'll become Vaishnava Prad, so I'll keep quiet. That's also not acceptable. So if we everybody actually everybody has responsibility towards ISKCON, and so of course they, because they are not in leadership positions, they don't have to take action directly, but they can bring it to the notice of leaders. But those who are leaders, they are super risky, super risky seva, right? So we have to be extremely humble, respectful of others, but at the same time can't neglect our responsibility. Meaning we'll have to say that that a spade is a spade, but with full respect, in a way that we can make others understand the viewpoint, etc. Um, so it's a big, heavy responsibility being a leader, and of course, being a preacher, even more difficult, because we might suddenly think that yeah, even leader also and preacher also might suddenly think we are more qualified than others, just because we know some little bit more knowledge than others, and even that knowledge has been given by Krishna only. So it should not become the cause for us to become proud. Mm, or we should not feel that we are entitled for something because I'm a leader or a preacher, that, oh, I'm entitled for this respect, or I'm entitled for whatever, right? This puja, pratishtha, etc. So we have to be very careful. And only when in those positions, it becomes very easy to do Vaishnava Aparadh. Yesterday, actually, I was seeing one quote from His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So he was saying, somebody asked him, what is the secret of your success in spiritual life? He said, morning program and no Vaishnava Aparadh. So this is very, very important, So because we have this natural tendency of fault finding in others, so we will extend that to Vaishnavas. We should just restrict ourselves. So which is why it is better if we stop fault finding even material people with material people, because that is like a habit. So we have to cut that habit, right? So better to just treat everybody with respect and consider ourselves Trinadapi Sunichena, right here. Knowing himself to be lower than blade of grass. So if you're lower than blade of grass, what qualification do we have anyway? And if somebody is ill-treating us, tolerate. Don't expect honor, and give honor to all. Actually, this is the critical. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this is the most important verse. Only such a person can chant the name. Sada Kirtaniya Sada Hari. And somebody who's empowered to spread the glories of the holy name has to be absolutely respected. There is no question of criticizing such a sadhu. Mm. 4 varieties of sadhu ninda. Vaishnava may be criticized on 4 counts. His caste by birth, which we should not see at all. We should not even bother about what is the caste of a Vaishnava. Previous sins or faults committed in this life before they came into Krishna consciousness. What did they do? This kind of, it's so bad. No. Over. That is all past life. Unpremeditated act of sin. Something which just happened. And slight traces of previous sinful habits, not much, slight traces. All these can become causes for us criticizing Vaishnavas. Though all these conditions may be present in a particular Vaishnava, they are in themselves insubstantial grounds for criticism. Yamaraja will punish one who blasphemes a Vaishnava on these grounds. Because the Vaishnava is spreading the glories of the Lord's name, the Lord will not tolerate such criticism of a Vaishnava. These faults will not appear, however, in a pure Vaishnava at all. So even if we see all these things, we should not criticize. Mm. And a pure devotee doesn't criticize Devata, scriptures. He simply takes shelter of the holy name. Yeah, see, one should eagerly take the dust from the feet of such a Vaishnava, regardless of whether he's a Grihastha or sannyasi. One should treat him according to his status as a Vaishnava, which is based upon his degree of attraction to the holy name. True Vaishnava avoids sadhu ninda. Cause of sadhu ninda. Because of his association with non-devotees produces disrespect for devotees. Devotee should carefully avoid non-devotees. So basically, asat sangha. Asat sangha is of two types: association with women, meaning material women, or association with those devoid of devotion to the Lord. Um, yeah, association with women means association with women without regard for Vedic tradition, meaning illicit, as well as association with persons who are themselves associating with women in an unapproved manner. Yeah, so this is understandable. Association of non-devotees is of three types: association with Mayavadis, association with pretenders, and association with atheists. All these should be avoided. Mm. Yeah, and see, the atheists, they do not believe in any form of the Lord. These people may claim to be devotees and may be accepted as such by public, but if one rejects such people, it is not considered sadhu ninda. Thus, in order to proceed properly to the goal of prema, one must be able to distinguish devotee from non-devotee. For one must avoid criticism of the actions or character of a devotee and should seek his association. Simultaneously, one should avoid the non-devotees completely. Non-devotees, we saw here three types: Mayavadis, pretenders, atheists. One must also be able to distinguish different types of Vaishnavas. So, not just Vaishnava and non-Vaishnava. Even among Vaishnavas, there are three types. There is a materialistic Vaishnava, or he's called semi-Vaishnava or Vaishnava Praya, who has slight faith in Krishna but has no service attitude towards devotees. And he is materialistic. He has some material motives. Such a person is not a real Vaishnava but a Vaishnava Abhasa. So they have slight faith in Krishna but no service attitude towards devotees. He is, however, classed as a Vaishnava in order that real Vaishnavas who avoid non-Vaishnavas may give him association. See, if he is not considered a Vaishnava, then real Vaishnavas will give up association of non-Vaishnavas. So, even though he is materialistic Vaishnava, he is called a Kanishtadhikari, on whom the advanced Vaishnava bestows mercy, so that the Kanishta Vaishnava can become purified and elevated. Then there's Madhyama, who recognizes the important position of the Lord's devotees and thus always associates with the Lord's devotees. He doesn't associate with non-devotees at all. He's convinced of Krishna's position, and jivas as his eternal servants, process of advancement as bhakti, and the goal as prema. He shows mercy to the innocent and avoids asatsanga. Again, Madhyama devotee also avoids asatsanga. The Madhyama devotee is considered a pure devotee because he is qualified by taking up the pure holy name rather than namabhasa. So another qualification of one in Madhyama is that he is actually chanting the pure name. He is qualified to distinguish the real Vaishnava from non-Vaishnava and does so since avoiding Asat Sangha and Sadhuninda as well as serving the advanced devotees is a necessity for advancement. So important thing is that he is considered as a pure devotee because he is qualified by taking up the pure holy name, meaning no impurity. And there's Uttama Vaishnava, who sees Krishna situated in everything and does not even make distinctions between Vaishnavas and non-Vaishnavas. The Kanishta performs his devotional service in Namabhasa. So we can understand whoever is in Namabhasa is Kanishta. And is thus ignorant of correct attitude towards Krishna, the devotees, and the holy name. Madhyama is qualified with the real Nama, and in chanting the holy name can understand the symptoms and significance of the Nama Aparadha. Uttama is above committing offense. Okay. Therefore, very important to come to the stage of Madhyama. So other places, the definition of Madhyama is without reference to holy name, with all other characteristics described here. But here it is said that if one is standing is Nama Bhasa, then he is also Kanishta. Okay, good. So understanding his own level, he will avoid Sadhuninda. Associate with equal Vaishnavas, serve superior Vaishnavas, avoid non-devotees. Give spiritual instruction to the innocent and chant the holy name. By this activity, one can advance. What is the remedy for Sadhuninda? If by accident one commits the offense of blasphemy of a devotee, one should sincerely feel repentant and cry at the feet of the devotee. Oh devotee, please forgive my offense and give the mercy of the Vaishnava to this evil-minded blasphemer. Since the devotee is by nature very merciful, he will forgive the offender. But it's important that one has to be sincerely repentant and cry at the feet of the devotee. Okay, so this is very, very important, and this is going to kill our devotion. So we have to be very careful. Okay, worshipping devatas, I am not going to go into the details. We know position of Vishnu. Devatas are just devotees of Krishna, but so there are three types of jivas. One is a completely pure devotee who doesn't want to enjoy any material. His just intention is to serve Krishna. Then there are complete materialists who want to control material nature. That is materialist, meaning they want to control, they want to gain control over others, like that, right? And they want to live life the way they want, materialistically. Now there is a third classification which is in between these two. They are devotees, they want to serve Krishna, but they also want to exercise control over material energy, meaning they want position, power, like this. So they are made devatas. So they are devotees, but they are called mixed devotees. Okay, so I won't go into much depth here. And we should also avoid offenses to devatas because they're also devotees. And they are serving because especially in Shastra, for example, people like Indra, they seem to be committing too many mistakes. We should not criticize them. Then that becomes, that's also an offense. And we should respect devatas all time. So if you are doing any considering devatas as equal to Vishnu or Krishna, one repents the offense and concentrates the mind on understanding the true person of Vishnu. That's all. We should just get jnana and we will be able to overcome this. Disrespect to spiritual master, this also we have discussed in depth. We have to know the instructions of the spiritual master and not neglect them. We might not be capable to fulfill the instructions immediately, but we should prepare for them. We should not reject them. Okay, so yeah, so there are two types of gurus, Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru gives mantra. Shiksha Guru who gives significant spiritual instructions. Devotee who desires quick advancement will give both gurus equal respect. Person can accept only one Diksha Guru but may have many Shiksha Gurus who give Sambandha Gnana. All the pure devotees who are generating suspiciousness by distribution of holy name, don't know, anyway, may be regarded as Shiksha Gurus. In the Vaishnava Sampradaya, the founding acharyas who established the Sambandha Gnana are regarded as the principal Shiksha Gurus, like Srila Prabhupada for us. The founder acharya, being the topmost guru, should be given all respect proper to his position. This is very important. One should recognize the spiritual authorities of one's own Sampradaya Shiksha Gurus and not accept teachings from other personalities, though they may appear to be learned. This is important. So first of all, we should become committed to a Sampradaya. Okay, worship of Guru. One should not think of spiritual master as an ordinary jiva. Both Shiksha and Diksha Gurus are the servants of Krishna, especially empowered with a special service in Krishna's pastimes. One should serve the Guru with great devotion, knowing him to be directly empowered by Krishna. By such sincere service to Guru, one can cross over the material ocean. And this service to Guru is Vani and Vapu. Vani is more important than Vapu. One should first worship the Guru, then taking his permission, one should worship the Lord. And this is true, especially, I mean, when we do our worship also at home or in temple, we do that. And more importantly, before somebody gets deities at home, they should get the permission of Guru. One should then offer Krishna's prasadam to the Guru, to the Vaishnavas, Devatas, and forefathers. Okay. Yeah, if one disobeys or disrespects his Guru, it is offensive. Disobey and disrespect both. Then taking shelter of the name, the devotee quickly crosses over that person who rejects. Okay, one can reject a Guru, but what should be done? So we have to serve the Guru. One should not step on the Guru's bed and seat, his shoes, vehicle, water that washes his feet or his shadow. Shadow also. One should not worship another persons in the presence of the Guru. One should regard the Guru as one's Lord and Master. Obey his words, utter the name of the Guru with great devotion. Should never disregard the order of Guru. One should take his prasadam remnants, should not discussing anything that the Guru dislikes. It's very, very important. Surrendering oneself humbly at the Guru's feet, one should always act so that he is pleased. If one acts in this way and chants the holy name, one will attain the perfection of life. Remedy for Guru ho gaya, by bad association, one happens to reject such a spiritual master who has imparted the glories of holy name and taught the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. One should immediately give a bad association and some whatever bad literatures, and in sorrow approach the feet of one's Guru. The Guru, being all merciful, will reinstate the disciple. Okay, criticism, we should not criticize. That's all. Other scriptures. Anyway, so there's a lot of stuff here we can read, self-explanatory. In the history of India, there are 6 personalities who invented useless speculative theories. Jaimini, though formally claiming to respect the Vedas, did not recognize the Supreme Lord and proclaimed fruitive rituals of the Vedas, independent of worship of Lord, as the highest activity. So Karma Mimamsa, I think this is. Then Kapila speculated the Lord is unproven and recommended the process of yoga without understanding its real goal. This is atheistic Kapila. Then Nagna, Jain doctrine, taking shelter of philosophy in the mode of ignorance, spread teachings completely contradictory to Vedas. Then there is materialistic Charvaka, and the Buddhists had no respect for the Vedic knowledge. Gautama, proponent of logic, Nyaya, did not recognize worship of the Lord. Consequently, dealt only with the human condition. So we should, intelligent person understands all these theories, understands that all these theories defame the Shruti, and understands that having faith in these theories makes one an offender. So we should just completely avoid these philosophies. Right? And we should be away from Mayavad. Okay. Present day Shruti Ninda. It is unfortunate that in Kali Yuga, even so-called great devotees avoid the sweet name of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Instead, worship his energy of illusion, Maya Devi, by propounding the authority of Tamasic Tantra, teachings for those in the mode of ignorance. They undermine the position of the Vedas. Anyway. If one commits Shruti Ninda, one should be repentant and offer his respects to the scriptures. With devotion, one should offer flowers and tulasi leaves to Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam, being the essence of the Vedas and the incarnation of Krishna, is certain to give its boundless mercy. Interpreting. So to think everything written about the holy name is not actually true. Just exaggerated praises to encourage a person to develop a taste for the name is called Arthavada. Interpreting. Considering the glories as imagination. Again. Comparison with praises of karma kanda, thinking that it's just some pious activity. And yeah, remedy for the offense, if one happen to commit any of these, he should humbly go before the assembly of Vaishnavas and reveal his offense at their feet, begging sincerely for forgiveness. So here we should beg for forgiveness from Vaishnavas. The devotee of the Lord will mercifully forgive him and embrace him. Okay. Committing sin on the strength of the holy name, this we know. We should just it is guaranteed that one's previous sinful tendencies will quickly be destroyed and the purity which is natural to the soul will be established. However, in the interim period between sinful life and pure state, there may be some trace of attachment to that previous sinful activity. Since the person does not commit new sin in the interim period and is constantly engaged in devotional service, the past sinful tendencies become quickly dissipated. The more one engages in the name, the quicker that sinful trace vanish. If a devotee by accident happens to commit a sin, he does not resort to prayaschitta. That sin is temporary and will not stay with the devotee. He will not go to hell. Deliberate sin, however, is another type of sin. If someone taking advantage of the great power of the name to destroy sins intentionally commits a new sin out of lust, thinking that the name will protect him, that person is not a devotee but a cheater. So two types of sinful activity may be distinguished: unpremeditated or accidental sin due to bewilderment, and premeditated or deliberate sin. There's a vast difference. In the case of committing an ordinary sin, a person is relieved of the effects by certain acts of penance and a repentant attitude. But if one thinks of committing sin on the strength of the name, there's no remedial measure. That person has no choice but to accept intense suffering. Even if he receives countless tortures by the servants of Yamaraj, he cannot be delivered from that offense. One who is in Namabhasa is always in danger of committing this offense through the influence of bad association. But one who has Shuddhanama does not commit this aparadha. So we have to just make sure that we don't do any sinful, intentionally do any sinful acts, thinking that the Nama will forgive us. If by inadvertence one falls into this mentality, one should purify oneself by association with pure Vaishnavas. Sinful desires are like thieves on the road of bhakti, and the pure Vaishnava are the protectors of the road. When one loudly calls out the name of the protectors of the road, the Vaishnavas will come and the thieves will flee. In affection, Vaishnava will say, "Do not fear, I am your protector." He who has vowed to serve the feet of the Vaishnava exclusively, thinking himself the lowest of the low, sings the wishful wing holy name. Okay. Okay, this is proper procedure for giving the name. Lord Chaitanya gave instruction on how to preach the holy name. He instructed that one should make the whole world Krishna conscious by giving the teachings of the name to the faithful men. By loud Sankirtan, one can produce faith in the Jivas, and when a Jiva attains faith, he will seek out a genuine Guru. So here it says that general Sankirtan is not wrong, or in generally just telling people saying the chant Hare Krishna is not wrong. Because only those who will get attracted by the name, they will chant. First, one should make sinful people such as thieves, prostitutes, and rogues give up their sinful tendencies and give them faith in the Lord. When faith becomes strong, one can give them instructions on the holy name. Okay, so this is slightly different. Okay, let me do some study on this because it's slightly different from what Prabhupada says. Prabhupada says, give holy name, but don't sing the glories. But here, Haridas Thakur is saying that if somebody is sinful and they don't have faith, then you should not even tell them to chant Hare Krishna. Mm. And only when their faith in the Lord becomes strong, one should give them instructions on the holy name. Okay, I have to study this. And produce faith in the jivas. Okay. Mm. Okay, this is one important thing to understand. Yeah, this is also okay. It's not Shubha Karma. Inattention. Okay, so this we will read on. This is important. This we will read on Monday. Okay, Pramada. Yeah. So these two we'll read in detail. The others are okay. Except that one, I'll have to find get some clarification whether we should not even tell about chanting to others. But that's what our preaching process is. So I guess. Okay. So yeah, I think I don't know if there are going to be any questions.
Uh, Prabhuji, I have one question
Yeah.
related to this only. I was
Hmm.
about to ask like earlier only that like at least I am in this habit, like I tell everybody to chant this name, like whomever I feel like they'll
Yeah.
listen. And previously one helper who comes to my place, she was saying that I go to some like missionary where they pray, like some Christian kind of thing. She was
Hmm.
saying I go there on Sundays, and this Sunday she came and she missed that. So I told her, Beta, you can chant this prayer. This is very nice. So I just chanted the mantra and told her that you should chant this and have faith in Lord. So I'm wrong here, and I have the habit of telling everybody like I don't tell the glories, but I tell them like I meet children and I tell them Hare Krishna, you should speak like this. So I wanted to ask about this. Like, how do you?
Yeah, I'm also unclear right now. Because our 10 offenses clearly says instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Prabhupada
Yes.
did not say that we should not ask people to chant at all. Mm, right? But what Haridas Thakur is saying is that if somebody has no faith in the Lord, then he might blaspheme the name, which makes sense. Right? So there must be some middle path. I mean, some reconciliation of these two statements. See, one is Nagar Sankirtan is understandable because we are not saying to anybody in specific, right? Individually also, if suppose say you know the person telling that is okay. Children anyway, they will. It's okay. Children, I think, are okay because as children they might not blaspheme, right? Or they might not be non-believers. But for example, some strangers, definitely for strangers, we should not give them the name. I think that is one thing that I think is important because see, even when we are doing, for example, we do a satsang, right? People who have some faith only will come, right? And if suppose somebody, and we can put a disclaimer saying that if you don't have faith in the Supreme Lord, don't chant His name, right? But generally, see, even in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada also makes this purport saying that while Krishna is saying don't give this to a faithless, he writes saying that no, devotees are more merciful. Devotees want to give it to everybody. The only thing I think we should be careful that they are not atheists and blasphemers. Basically, they absolutely, if they don't have faith in the Lord at all, then we should not talk to them. Mm. So on a
Yes.
one-on-one basis, we should be able to distinguish that. I was just thinking in terms of when we preach and when people come for our satsang. Mostly, I would assume that they will have some faith, but they will have some. They might also have some confused faith, or they might think like demigods and Krishna are all same, um, right? But still, they have faith. It's not they have maybe misdirected faith, but it's not that they are atheists or they're not going to blaspheme. See, the whole point here is that because what was being said here is also that um, where is that? that they will yeah, giving name to the faithless. Actually, I'll do one thing. I'll read this once more. Then we'll see if there is anything else that comes out. Because I just picked up here and there. So yeah, I'll just read that, and if there's any clarification I get, I'll tell that in the next class. But Prabhupada clearly said it is glories of the holy name only, but we can see if there's any change. I mean, there shouldn't be any change if there is some way that we have to understand properly.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. Anything else? Okay, then we'll close here. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Gaurav Bhakta Vrinde ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyo Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Hare
Pranams to
Krishna.
everybody.